Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing this morning? Who's excited that this is the first of the great Bead Extravaganza presentations? I'm super excited about it, and I hope you all are too. We had quite the morning this morning. Originally, we were going to have this part of the demonstration at the shop, and that changed at the last second. So we quickly rushed everything over here. And yeah, so we're here now and on time-ish. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for tuning in, for making this the success that it already is. We could not do this without you. So thank you, all of you out there. And I keep seeing all these wonderful familiar faces popping up, saying hi and good morning, everybody. I'm super excited, and I'm really honored to be the opener for this event. This is really exciting for me, and I hope it's exciting for you as well. You'll note that I'm saying excited a lot, and it's because I am. The second thing I wanted to say was to really thank Sarah and Kristen of Softlex for helping bring this to life. I had an idea, and Sarah had a similar idea about how we were going to face COVID-19 in a creative way and build community and really embrace the jewelry making community and open that up to all of you at your wherever you are. Right now there's not a lot of shows going on right now, and we wanted to make it so that we could reach out and make this possible for all of you. The other thing I wanted to thank is all of the presenters who have generously donated their time, and also who have generously donated their energy and enthusiasm and really made this a really wonderful project to work on. So thank you to all of the presenters. We are so grateful for all of you and this energy. All right, so before we get going, I'm going to say, loosen up your shoulders, take a deep breath, make sure you're comfortable, or as comfortable as you can be. Hopefully you're not sneaking this at work, or if you are, you won't get caught or get in trouble. And really, I want all of you to just enjoy this as much as possible. I really want for all of you to get as much out of this experience as you can for all of the presenters. We know that watching all of the tutorials and videos is going to be a Herculean effort. So for all of you who are going to try to do that, we hope you, wish you much luck and success. There's so many comments, I'm getting almost a little distracted, but I just wanted to say hello. And if I don't, normally we kind of chat with people as we go, but we might have to, what I'm going to do is after my section is done, I'll go back through the comments and respond a little bit more in depth, because I want to talk to all of you. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. For all of you who I know out there, hello. For all of those who I don't know, hello. It's good to meet you, and we're excited I'm excited to be able to share a little bit about what I do and how we do it here at Allegory Gallery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to expect from my presentation. I've got an hour and a half, and for that hour and a half, I'm going to, for the first hour, we're going to demonstrate different surface treatment techniques. And then I thought it might be nice to take the last little chunk there and walk over to the store and show you the store for those of you who can't make it to lovely Ligonier, Pennsylvania. Let's see. So I'm really excited to be able to do this. And one of the things that I'm going to recommend you do is if you don't like Allegory Gallery on Facebook already, I suggest you do that too. I'm very proud of it. William, my partner, and I have worked really hard over the past 9 years to build this business. And maybe I'll do a little bit of an intro too. So if you don't know who I am, I'm the co-owner and creative director of Allegory Gallery in Ligonier, Pennsylvania. That's rural southwestern Pennsylvania, just an hour outside of Pittsburgh. I got my start in the business through my family. My sister Cynthia and her husband Greg, they own Green Girl Studios, which is a metalsmith-based company based out of Asheville, North Carolina. And they've been in the business for over 20 years. So I've helped them do trade shows. And then by being in the business and doing shows and traveling all over the country and meeting all of you out there, I started writing for books and magazines. And I did that for quite a while. I did tech editing for books and magazines as well. I've been featured on TV. I've been on Make It Artsy and Beads, Baubles, and Jewels, and a couple other different things like that. We've been featured in the New York Times, Forbes magazine, a lot of different things over the past 9 years. We have a full-service bead store here in Ligonier, and we just love the creative community that has developed around our little dream that we had that kind of came to life. So thank you, all of you, for helping make this journey an enjoyable one. You know, what better way to live life than to live life in service of creating beauty and kind of, you know, the world can be an ugly place sometimes. And as makers, we have this amazing ability to craft our own realities and kind of add beauty to counteract some of the not so pleasant things. So we are really thankful for this calling. And yeah, so I've been really wonderful. I've had a really wonderful opportunity to meet a lot of makers in the creative space, either in the fine art world or in the jewelry making world. And many of these friends are ones that are going to be presenting this weekend. So I keep saying it, and I couldn't sleep last night. Abby Berta, she can testify, and Jamie from Hawaii, they can all testify that I was up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about all the things that we were going to do today, and kind of working out the logistics. One of the little housekeeping notes that I'm going to do before I get started, I don't want to eat too much into my demo time, is there are 3 really wonderful giveaways that we're hosting this weekend. Sarah has posted a post in the group with details on how to enter. Basically, you just put your name and email address in there. That email address will go to all of the presenters, and you'll have a chance of winning one of these really wonderful giveaways. I want to win the giveaways. They're that awesome. So really super things. I know that we donated over $100 worth of stuff, and Green Girl Studios donated over $100 worth of stuff, and Brenda, she donated a set of hammers, and Softlex did one of all of their colors, which is pretty amazing and wild. Now, as they said in this right here, this comment, don't comment on this post to enter to win. So if you do that, you're not going to win. So don't do that. If you go to the main group, there will be a post with all of the information on how to enter, and you can enter all weekend long. You don't have to rush over and do that right now. So don't get worried. Kristen said a combined value of $1,500. That's pretty crazy. And all of the presenters were super generous and donated things to make these prize packages really wonderful. So make sure to do that. Also, if you can, get your friends involved, get your creative community involved, share this group if you haven't already, help spread the word about this event. All of these presentations will be available after we go live. So, and of course, they're going to be a little bit, what's the polite word of saying, a little bit shaky at first. But once we hit our stride, I think things will kind of, work themselves out. So we're super excited. And then, if you would be so kind, if you go to Allegory Gallery's Facebook page and like us, we'll also be doing a giveaway as well that's separate from this. So if you go to that, we'll post a post on the Allegory Gallery Facebook page, and throughout the weekend, we're going to be adding new products to the online store. So make sure to check that out. That's allegorygallery.com. And one last thing before I get started, we're having a sale in our online store at the allegorygallery.com online store. If you go there and use the coupon code Bead Extravaganza, you can save 15% off your order all weekend long. So that should be encouraging for all of you to check that out. We would really appreciate it. And we'll be adding things all weekend long. So even after my presentation's done, we'll add new products and kits and cool things like that all weekend. So there'll be lots to see, and I hope that you will take advantage of that because we're really excited. And also, if you are in Ligonier, we got a TV and we're going to be streaming that at the store. So if you come in to shop, you can not miss anything. So you'll see all of your presenters throughout the weekend, at least on today and Saturday. I don't know about Sunday, but maybe. We'll have to check. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so I kind of had to adjust things in this home studio as fast as possible. So if we are a little bit, if I have to jump up and get something, just bear with me, because normally we have these at the store, and usually I don't try to cram so much into one video. Also, I probably should say this, and I know I keep saying one more, but really this is the last one before I go, or start demoing, is every day, every weekday, after 5 o'clock, we do a live video, and William, my partner, he will show you different things around the store, and if you haven't tuned in before, we encourage you to do that as well. It's a lot of fun. We just adore all of our people who watch and interact. It's a really beautiful community. So if you get a chance, tune in for that as well. On Tuesdays, I do a tutorial usually, and sometimes we do giveaways also. So check that out as well. All right, so let's flip this around. So you're gonna have to see the ceiling in my studio for a second. Let me adjust this. The coupon code gives 15% off your order. All right. So I thought that we could start off. We're going to do, if you didn't know, one of the things we do at Allegory Gallery is we have a laser, and we make custom laser pendants. And these are the cutout ones, but we also do laser engraved pendants as well. And sometimes people are like, so what do I do with this? And really, the possibilities are endless. There's so many things that you can do with these pendants. Sometimes people get turned off because they feel like, you know, it has a very specific look, and they're like, oh, it's wood. You know, there's a lot of stigmas about things like that sometimes. But really, they make a wonderful foundation for a lot of different techniques. So you can definitely customize and use these our components to really customize them and make them your own. And they can suit almost any kind of project. So one of the things that I like to do is add color. And one of the things that works really well with adding color to our wooden pendants, our wooden pendants are made with a plywood. So the plywood is a veneer that's laminated to a base board. So that means that they use the glue to laminate that veneer onto the base foundation board. And so what that does is, because there's a little bit of that plasticizer in the glue, sometimes it makes it almost like a resist. So not all paints will work on our pendants. And that's kind of a good thing, because if you think about it, you don't want your wood pendants to soak up a lot of moisture and things like that. So that helps with that. But I'm going to show you how to get your surfaces ready so that you can do anything you want with these pretty much. So yeah. One of the things that I really like to use are vintage patina paints. So these are not true patinas, and we're actually going to look at some of the patinas later on. So these are designed for metal, but they work really wonderful on wood. You can add color, and they're really... a little tube goes a long way. They come in metallics, like this one is a white gold. And you can get these at most jewelry retailers. We have some at the shop that we're going to put out. I don't know if we'll have them out this weekend or not, but eventually we will have them. And yeah, so these are really wonderful. Now these do have a couple different, there's a couple tricks to working with these. One of the first things is there's a little ball inside of each of the tubes, and you have to shake them up, because otherwise the color won't be evenly dispersed. And it kind of separates. So you really have to shake these up and get all of it distributed throughout, and really get that nice and juicy. Also, there's a couple different versions. So this is one of the pearls, and the pearls that they have, they're a little bit more translucent. So yeah. So Christy just said hello. Christy is one of our presenters, so make sure to check her out this weekend. She's already uploaded some YouTube videos, or YouTube video, and we'll be doing some demos from that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to shake these up really good. I'm going to do this off camera because I'm going to really put my back into it. It helps if you have a helper that can shake these for you. When I'm with my niece and nephew, usually I give these one each to them and they can shake them up. Vicky, we sometimes do custom orders for laser cutting. If you are curious about that, email us at info@allegorygallery.com and we can definitely talk to you about it. We are generally super busy with our own designs, so we don't have a lot of room in our schedule, but sometimes we are able to do that, and we're happy to collaborate with other fellow creatives. Yes, child labor. I have William do it too, so it's not just children. Get your significant others involved and get your patina paints all shooken up. So I'm a big believer in using what you've got. I don't really, there are so many wonderful materials that are easily recycled. So as you can see, I paint with this often. This is just the lid of a Chinese takeout container. And this little caddy for my patina is the bottom for that, so that's handy. So I know there's a lot of pressure right now to go out and buy stuff, but sometimes you can just look around and reuse a lot of the things that are, that people would throw away. And you can use those. Nobody's going to be looking at your palettes, or if they are, they'll be proud of you for recycling. Barbara said, can these patinas be used to color aluminum or pewter metal stampings? Yes, they can be. And actually, if you go to the Vintage website or the Ranger website, there's a whole list of different materials that these can be used for. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. We're going to be using these for our wooden pendants today, but definitely they can be used for metal, and they're actually designed for metal. So one of these things is once this gets filled up, it builds up a layer almost like a skin, and then I just peel it off. If you are not comfortable mixing paint and colors, one of the things I do recommend is using a white background. And that could be the bottom of this container or a different yogurt lid or whatever. And the reason why I always suggest using a white container or a white background when you're just starting to mix colors is because sometimes there's this effect called cast color, and that can change the way you see colors. So if you have something and it's like a bright turquoise, and you put, a yellow, that yellow will take on almost a green cast to it. So whenever you're painting, it's not going to be the true to life colors. So yeah. So if you're going to mix colors, use a white background. If you're really comfortable mixing paint, which I think I am, I just use this. This is just a clear plastic. But of course, if you want, you can always tape a piece of white paper on the backs. All right. So, let's see. What are people saying? Wendy said, my friend and family laugh at me because I scavenge so much stuff, but it gets used. Just used a bent paper clip as a hanger embedded in a custom Christmas ornament for my daughter. Yeah, I'm really a big fan of that. Of reusing and recycling, especially, you know, if it works, it works. So I pre-shook up everything, but of course I can't find the colors. Once I put them back in the caddies, I can't figure out which colors I shook up. So you'll have to bear with me. Yes, me too, Kayla. I use my sour cream and cottage cheese lids. I use the bases for mixing and washing brushes. As you can see, this is my water container. This is I think it's a spaghetti sauce jar. I'll give you a little bit of a peek of my setup. I don't usually let people into my studio, so yes. Debbie says, I have a vintage color mix sheet I found at a craft store, and it's a big help. Yeah, you know, I think it's also really helpful just to play around. Usually before I start a big project, I will make my own color wheel, and I will take clippings from magazines and collage things together. And I feel as though once you're working, you know, you want your colors to reflect your color sensibilities, your own unique color sensibilities. So there are people who will sell you pre-made color wheels and color charts, but I really recommend that you make your own. Just get, you know, a piece of nice watercolor paper or Bristol board, and mix the colors and put a dot and make your own cookbook of recipes of colors. That's the best way to get familiarized with the colors and really understand what a little drop of black will do to yellow. You'd be surprised. It turns into a green color. So yeah, it's a really wonderful technique to do that. All right, so sometimes one of the other things that I recommend when you are working with the vintage patina pigments and paints is to have a pin. And in my little caddy, I have a pin that never leaves. And that is because these little nozzles, they can get a little bit plugged. So just go in there, and this is an old vintage pin that I found in an antique store, and I've had it for years and years. And it really does the trick of opening up these. And so we'll do a little bit of this turquoise color, and let's do some of this ruby. And we'll get the gold going to this aged bronze. I love seeing everybody popping up that I know. That's a good technique too, using old ashtrays. I actually have one, but it's a little bit rude, so I can't show it probably. But it's a vintage ashtray, and I do use that to rest my brushes on while I'm painting. So let's, oh, good. I don't have to unplug that one. Get that unplugged. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Donna. All right. So, and I'm actually going to put quite a bit of this aged bronze, and you'll see why I'm doing that. I'm actually going to get that Victorian gold in there too. I hope you're enjoying this percussion section of my demo. And like I said earlier, if I miss any comments, please, I hope you know that I'm not ignoring you. It's just that sometimes on our end, a bunch of comments come up, and I get flooded with them, and I can't necessarily respond to everybody. But I will go back through and try to answer any questions that I don't answer live. So feel free to ask questions. If I don't get to them now, I will get to them later. All right, sometimes you really have to jam that pin in there to kind of clear the hole. And I also recommend using a really thick gauge pin because that will help push the patina paint in there and really open that valve up. So I see a couple people here that are saying that that the live crashed. I would say just refresh your Facebook page and join, or catch the replay. And yeah. All right. So one of the other things that's important to do is to use a dry brush for when you're applying your patina paints. And I'm just going to glob this on, and I don't necessarily have anything in mind for what I'm doing. Oh, and here's the other thing, is I also have little pieces of cardboard and plastic that I also reuse, and I have these so that normally when I don't have such a crowded work surface, I can just pick up and go with these. I don't have to worry about ruining anything. Also, if I'm working with something that's wet, I can easily move things around, and I don't have to worry about... let's see if you can get it so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'll try to do it like this. And then I also just recommend playing. Experiment with mixing colors, and really just have fun. I think a lot of us have been stuck at home lately, and I really have enjoyed using this time to experiment and do things that I don't always give myself permission to do. So this has been kind of a mixed blessing. It's a serious thing in the world right now with the pandemic, but that's also meant that I've had more time at home, and that's allowed me to experiment with new techniques and try new things out. And I hope that you all, if you haven't played with these before, you really just get a couple colors and have fun. They also sell them in kits, and you can get 3 different colors that kind of coordinate with one another. And really, you only need just a few to get started. And then have fun. Now, the great thing about the vintage patina paints is that you can... I am working on a wooden pendant. These wooden pendants are available in the Allegory Gallery online store. That's allegorygallery.com, and you can see all of these and more. So I think so get a couple different colors and play around with these. I love the metallics. And one of the things I was just about to say is that one of the great things about these patina paints is that you can clean them up with water, which is super handy. So what we're going to do is I've got a couple colors going, but I'm just going to do these kind of assembly line and get a lot of that gold down, because we're going to work on a gold project in one of the other demos. So I'm just globbing on this gold, and I'm only going to do the tops. Normally I would flip these over and do both sides, but what I'm going to do is just the tops, and then you'll just have to use your imagination and imagine that after they're dry, I'm going to do the backs. But I don't want to cut too much into our time, because I have so many projects that I want to show you and techniques. And this is just the first one of these. We've got lots more to go. So don't get overwhelmed. We're going to have fun. And if you miss anything, you can always message the store at Allegory Gallery. Message the Facebook store or the Allegory Facebook page, and try not to message me if it's store related, just because we get so many messages throughout the day, and I don't always see them, and I try to keep my personal message just for personal things, and the business page for business things. So the difference between this is that there's a chemical in these that's called ethylene glycol monobutyl ether. And so it's alcohol. It's got kind of a different base that you can heat set and use this as opposed to acrylic. Now, acrylic has emulsifiers and plasticizers in it. So acrylic paint will not stick, at least not stick well, to our wooden pendants without a little bit of finagling. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. You don't need to seal these necessarily when they're done. You can, and I think that that's another opportunity for you to add, add another depth of layer, or so there's all these different design opportunities that we have where if we can do. Everything is an opportunity to add more layers and more depth to your pieces. So you can seal these, but you don't necessarily have to. I do recommend getting an inexpensive heat gun or a dedicated toaster oven and setting it really low and heat setting them. That will make these super durable. You don't have to, but if you do, that will make them last a lot longer and make the finish a lot sturdier. So I'm excited. They're almost completely dry now, so that's great. Now, one thing you won't want to do is keep mixing water in. Because sometimes if you add too much water to your vintage patinas, they can make it curdle. And I know some people say that they've never had that happen, but I've had that happen, and I just use it dry, and I mix my colors dry. If you do need to thin it out, they make glazes, like this matte glaze or this gloss glaze. And those can be used to thin out your patinas and act as extenders. All right. Let's see. Somebody asked a question. I've been meaning to get a heat gun. Now you gave me the best reason to get one. Now, if you do get a heat gun, just go to Harbor Freight or your tool store. and get an all-purpose kind of regular heat gun. This is great for so many different things. I feel like sometimes with some of the craft heat guns, they don't get hot enough, or they don't expel enough hot air, LOL. So these are really good for all different kinds of things. You kind of have to play around with it because the different settings, you'll get different results. So, yeah. All right. And yeah, so how long do you have to heat set the patina paints? Only a couple minutes. And will a blow dryer work? You can do that, but I don't think that it's going to get hot enough. You do want to use a heat resistant surface whenever you are going to use your heat gun, just so you don't burn down your house. And I'm actually going to grab a tile really fast because that's not in my station. But as we're in my studio, I have about 1,000 different things here. All at the easy reach. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to show you a couple different techniques. It doesn't matter if they're all matching or not. So let me do this. Let me try to... Now you want to keep your heat gun always moving. You don't want to just hold it in one place because you can scorch your pieces. And because these are wood, you can catch them on fire. So don't do that. So these are just heat setting right now. I just want to make sure that they get kind of a steady temperature of about 200 degrees. And it kind of takes a little bit of practice. But once they're set, they're good to go. All right. So be very careful of this tip. It gets very hot, and you can burn yourself. And so don't do that. Nicole asks, can patina be used on cardboard? I do projects with rolls from toilet paper. Yeah, you can definitely use these on cardboard. Again, if you're going to heat set them, which you don't necessarily have to, you just have to be careful not to catch it on fire. And so, yes, fire is bad in this case. Don't burn teacher, don't burn neighbor, and don't burn yourself. I'm not using a solderite board. I'm actually just using, I was going to use a solderite board because there's one about 5 feet away. But this is actually just a tile. I think this was like 30 cents at the Habitat for Humanity. Yeah, this is just, and I've chipped it. This is great because it can go into an oven. I can use it for polymer clay, all kinds of goodies. All right, so we talked really quickly about patina paints. Now let's move on to acrylics. And we'll revisit these ones. Nicole asks, can you let it dry on its own without a heat gun? Yes, you can. However, if you use a heat gun or using a dedicated toaster oven set at a low setting will help heat set the patina paints and make the finish extra sturdy. You know, you could try using a silicone mat. I don't like to do that just because I've seen people where they get distracted and they melt stuff. So a tile works, solderite board, a block, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy. And yeah, so, and if you do have a dedicated toaster oven, this is a project that you will definitely want to have good ventilation, just because whenever you're heating anything up like paint or plastics, it's always good to have good ventilation and follow all of the safety precautions. So there's my disclaimer. Don't huff this and get high off of the paint. That's not great. So if you are going to be using, let me get a little board here. If you are going to be wanting to use acrylic paint on these, here's how to do it. You can scuff these up with sandpaper, which I did beforehand, just real lightly. It doesn't have to, you don't have to grind the surface off, just enough so that there's an extra tooth. And then we're going to use gesso. Gesso is one of my favorite things in the whole entire planet. It's basically calcium carbonate, which is, you can find it in marble dust, and you can find it in eggshells, and you can even actually make your own gesso if you want, but instead of wearing your back out grinding eggshells, you can just buy it, and it's a lot easier. And somebody asked if you could use white paint instead of gesso. There is white paint in the gesso, and it's a titanium white paint that they add for white gessos. But if you're using black, that's a different color. But gesso has an added mineral component, which makes it a wonderful foundation for a number of applications. My sister, hello sister, she says, do you love clear gesso? Because I do. You know, I like clear gesso. I like basically all the gessos, but we're going to use white today. And yeah. So let me get a new brush. And all you have to do is just paint it on. And it may, sometimes you have to do multiple layers. And depending on what you're doing, you're going to be mindful of your directional kind of brush strokes. Some gessos have a self-leveling compound in them, and it makes it a super smooth, almost, I don't want to say glass-like, but it just depends on the brand of gesso. But depending on your brush strokes and how thickly you apply it will change the surface that you're working with. So usually I always try to go in the direction of my pendant, and if there's a curve, just go follow the curve of it. But if you want it to be more textured, all you have to do is stipple it. And that stippling will have a little bit of a raised, will add texture to the surface of your wooden pendant if you didn't want it to be super smooth. So Kate said, Andrew is wild for gesso. I miss gessoing it up with Cynthia and Andrew. Will we miss gessoing it up with you as well? We'll have to get together. Normally this time of year is the Bay Area show, and we would all be in San Francisco or in Oakland hanging out. But because of the pandemic, we're all working from home. So no show right now, but you're all with us. So it's almost like being at a bead show. All right, so I'm adding a couple layers of gesso. And the thing is about this is that you can add as much of this as you want, pretty much, with the blanks. And I think the more layers you add, the better it gets. Yeah, so definitely, you can do that. All right, Kate said, it's almost like we were together here. I agree. So it's like anything. The more love and attention to detail you put into your piece, the more it shows. So like if you do, it's like painting a house. You could certainly get one coat of paint and, it depending on the paint, it'll do you. But if you add multiple layers of the paint, it will increase the surface area and the coverage and really make it nice. All right. So I'm going to clear off my tile and get that heat gun back out and speed up that drying time. Normally I have stations where I work. I have dozens of things set up all at once, and so I've got things in various states of drying, and yeah, so really wonderful when you can kind of multitask and get things done assembly line. All right, somebody asked a question and I missed it about what we're doing. So right now we're just adding gesso to the surface of our pendants, and the gesso will help adhering different surface treatments. So one of the things we're going to do is acrylic paint. We're also going to do a quick one for gold leaf. We're also gonna, I don't think we're gonna, and we'll do colored pencils real fast. I don't think we're gonna be able to do everything that I want, especially if I'm gonna run you all down to the store. We might not be able to do the store visit today, William. Because I'm starting to run out of time. I got all chatty Cathy in the beginning, and you're just going to have to tune into the Allegory Gallery Facebook page and keep an eye out for tutorials there. I could probably write a book on surface treatments. I planned, if you want to see my plan for today, it looked like this. So many things and so little time. You think that an hour and a half you're going to have a lot of time, but apparently it goes quicker than you think. All right, so we've got our layers of gesso, and one of the tricks that I do if I forget what layer of gesso is if you add a drop of colored paint to your gesso, it's kind of like you can work on several different ones, and since it's all white, sometimes it's easy to forget what layer you're on. You can be like, oh, well, I did 3 layers, but really you just did 1 because it's all white. But if you slightly tint it, you can always be sure to know what layer you're on. You know what? I don't think we're going to get epoxy sculpt to do today, just because we're going to have to do a part 2, Sarah. It will be called Dimensional Sculpting Surface Treatments. All right, so we've got our gesso down, and I'm going to get the heat gun out, and I'm going to set those. Yes, I love Christy, and she does have some wonderful techniques. The great thing about artists is that they all do things slightly different. So sometimes, if you didn't know, Christy, she comes out here and we collaborate and work on things, and she teaches classes, and we all have fun. So we're going to set these aside for now and then go back to the gold ones that we did. This is a product that I don't know if they still make it or not, but you could definitely make this yourself just by mixing a heavy body gel medium with gold mica flakes. This comes pre-mixed. So this looks kind of yuck. And you're going to be like, what the heck is he doing? Mixing that oatmeal up. But this is a really cool product where if you've got your base color here that we put down with the patina paints, we're going to take this oatmeal-like substance. This is the gold mica flake material, and just work this onto the surface. Now it's a little bit odd, and you don't want to build it up too thick, because if it's too thick, what's going to happen is it's going to be clumpy, which you might like, but I do want to see some of that sparkle. So I'm just going to add this sparingly, and if something sticks out on the side here, I can always take let's see, what are people saying? Kathy's. Yes, you can paint on leather. There's really so many things that you can do. And gesso, somebody asked about Mod Podge. Mod Podge is great for some things, and it's actually really good if you're going to lock down a surface and keep things, like if you have an unstable surface and you don't want the colors to bleed, that's a really good way of locking down colors, because with gesso, sometimes that can bleed up through. So Mod Podge, if you do a layer of Mod Podge, you can lock down some of that stain, and then do a layer of gesso on top of that, and that can work as a technique as well, if that's a concern that you have. Mod Podge is also really great if you're going to do any kind of decoupage. I was going to do some decoupage today, but I don't think we're going to have time really. So keep an eye out on the Allegory Gallery Facebook page, and we'll have a lot of these tutorials. I was going to do resin today and do all kinds of stuff like that, but I just don't think we're going to have time for it. So basically we got like 2 of the things on my list that I thought we were going to do done. So super. And I tested these out, and to see if we would have enough time. But of course, time goes a little bit faster than you think it is. All right. Deb says, makes you hungry. I don't know. Andrew did a quick search, and you can still buy this product. Oh, good, Pam. I'm glad that it's not discontinued, because sometimes that makes me sad when people discontinue products that I love. There was this really wonderful ice cream from Haagen-Dazs that was a caramelized pear and pecan, and I just loved it. And I may have made myself sick by overindulging in it, but they stopped making it. So there's a lot of things like that. So if you can see, that white kind of, the whiteness of the oatmeal or the mica is turning clear, and you're only seeing the the mica flakes in it. And I'm actually going to set that to the side and let that dry naturally. So if you wanted this to be smoother and not so textured, you just press it down while it's still slightly tacky, and you can get it to be a little bit smoother. If you want it to be more textural, of course you wouldn't press it down. But once it's dry, it's pretty rigid. But right now we have a chance to do and kind of play around with that. All right, so we just added the mica to this. We'll let this dry off to the side. Then you can see that after. This product is golden acrylic gold mica flake. And if you don't have this, you can actually make your own. And you can actually use really chunky flake glitter and mix it with a heavy gel body medium, and you can make whatever color you want. So if you don't want just this gold mica, you can use the flake glitter. The one thing that I will say that if you do use the flake glitter, don't use the heat gun, because usually they use little bits of plastic to make the flake glitter, and that can melt. The mica is a really wonderful natural product that is naturally heat resistant. It's actually a stone that breaks apart into sheets. So it's heat resistant, which is really good that if you do expose it to heat. All right, so we've got, what's next on the list? So next on the list is nail polish. Nail polish is a really wonderful way to add color quickly. And depending on the color and the kind of nail polish that you use, you can do the base color like so. Do that with the vintage patina paints, and that will give you a great base color if you are going to use one that's translucent and it's got glitter like this. If you're using a more opaque one that's like a one and done kind of setup, you don't necessarily have to put a base color on like so. So this is some cheap one that I got at the dollar store. So we'll see about that. Now, this is a surface treatment that will work for some applications, but not all. I will say that again. Nail polish will work for some, but not all. If you use nail polish on polymer clay, you will have sadness in your heart. And the reason why you will have sadness in your heart is because nail polish will eat away at the surface of polymer clay and make it extra sticky fun forever. And you'll never be able to dry it out, and it'll have infinite sadness whenever you go to reach for that piece to use in your jewelry creation, and your fingers stick on it, and then you're like, oh no, I shouldn't have used that nail polish on that polymer clay. But since we're not working with polymer right now, we're working with wood, you can definitely 100% use nail polish to add a surface treatment. And they make so many cool different nail polishes right now that, there are just so many that you can get. This was just a cheapy one that I got at the dollar store, but this one is not a cheapy one. This one I got, it's called Campfire Tales, and this is from Rogue Lacquer, and this is a glitter one. I also recommend opening a window while you're working with nail polish, otherwise you might get a little bit high, and don't do that unless you want to. But so this one has it's kind of a black, but it's black in the base, and then it's got glitter in it. So it's kind of that smoky, I could see that, some embers that looks nice. Hey, that looks real good. I'm pleased with that. All right, so you can layer this up and do a better job than I'm doing as I rush through this really quick. But yeah, there's all different kinds of nail polish. I actually follow on Instagram a couple different nail artists just because some of their techniques are actually ones that I use as a mixed media artist. And I think the more crafts you do, the more you can learn about your own process or inventing new ways of doing things. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if you can see that. So pretty cool. I'm going to get this other one. I think it's called Unicorn Spit, but I'm not. Let me see, where is it? This one is also a rogue lacquer. It's called Unicorn Blood. Sorry, not Unicorn Spit, Unicorn Blood. One of the things that you can do to make sure that your nail polish goes on nice and smooth is if you have a container of warm water that you submerge the bottom of your bottle, and that will help keep your nail polish nice and smooth. Sometimes if it's cold, which it's not, you can be clumpy. So if you want to make it go even, you can do that. All right, so I'm going to put this Unicorn Blood on top of this, the one that I painted with the vintage patina. And it's going to add a little bit of glitter. I don't know if I would say that's blood. I think that is more like unicorn spit than blood, but I've never injured a unicorn, so I don't know. Maybe they have, and that's what it looks like. But that's like a little bit of a shimmer coat, so pretty cool. So if you like galaxies, there you go. Yeah, I agree. Cosmetic color names are awesome. I get a kick out of them. I'm listening to a book right now called The Probable Future by Alice Hoffman, and she was talking about the name of a lipstick, and the lipstick's name was Cheap, because everybody who wants to wear that lipstick, wants to look cheap, I guess. But anyway, so fun. All right, so what we did just there is use some nail polish, which is really fun. And we're going to get that heat gun and just lightly go over it. All right. And I'm going to post pictures of all of these after my presentation is done. And that way you can kind of see the finished products. And also I'll add some tutorials on some of them on the Allegory Gallery design group. All right, so we're going to bust out the colored pencils right now. Oh yeah, Roberta. She said she's been watching Harry Potter and the color of blood of the unicorn. So that's fun. All right, so if you are going to use colored pencils for this project, make sure you get Prismacolors or another color pencil that has a high wax content. I'm going to repeat that. You need a color pencil that has a high wax content. Normally people are like, oh, I want all the pigment. But the reason why these work, and these work on wood, they can also work on metal. So say you're working on copper, it's because they have a high wax content. I'll say that again. High wax content. All right. I said that how many times? A couple times. But you want one that has a high wax content because it will form a nice surface. Ones that are the cheapy color pencils, you're not going to get the colors to stick. Also, whenever you're shaving your color pencils, use an X-Acto knife and shave away from yourself, of course. And the reason why I use an X-Acto knife as opposed to a pencil sharpener is that you lose quite a bit of your material that way. So in your pencil shavings, you're going to end up, you're going to go through your color pencils a lot quicker. And also there's a greater chance of it breaking inside of your colored pencil. So when you break a little piece and then the little nibbin comes out and then there's sadness, then you have to sharpen it down some more and then sharpen it down some more. Use a X-Acto knife to shave down your colored pencils, and that will work really wonderful. So I'm going to pick ones that are already shaved because we're running out of time, y'all. So we got to cook it with the gas. All right, so I'm just going to color it, and I'm just putting down the base colors first. So I'm going to do a kind of a orange and pink combo, like a sunset, and you're going to be like, that looks terrible. But you know what? The more you add layers with the pencils, you'll build up the surface, and the wax will kind of create a lovely kind of what they call blooming. So you will be able to, the more you add layers of the wax and the more you mix your colors, the better it comes out. So, don't give up if it looks terrible at first. Just keep adding layers of the colored pencil. And start off, you can start off light or dark, and I'll actually show you a technique to blend it all in together once you get it. So I'm just adding layers of this orange. The base coat on this is gesso, so you have to watch the replay, Donna. So I'm adding, one of our friends, Allison Adorns, she used colored pencils straight up on the wood. I think you can do that. I like to add the layer of gesso. It just adds that extra layer of security. Cindy asks, can you use heat as well with the pencils when it's finished? You can actually, and because it's a high wax content, you're in luck. That actually makes it look a little bit better. And you can improve it. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just going around the edges with a red. And what I'm going to do is it kind of brings out those edges. And then if I add too much of the red, I can go back over with some of the other colors, like this orange, and kind of blend that in there and get them really nice and juicy. All right, so I'm going to go in and add this yellow on top of everything, and maybe some of that pink back in there, and get that kind of really super chromatic and saturated. This is kind of addictive. I'm not going to lie. I could sit here and do this the whole entire time, but we've only got 15 minutes, so I've got to speed it up. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is use this white and go over the top of that. And the white kind of helps bring it all together. And it doesn't look like it right now, but it's coming together. And it blends all of those layers of colors together. You can see I use the white a lot because it's the shortest of all the pencils. And like I said, the more layers you add, the better. And once you're done with coloring and you're satisfied with the amount. You can seal this with a spray fixative that's designed for colored pencils. You could use crystal Krylon, or if you want, you can use Renaissance wax. Now, Renaissance wax, let me get it real fast. Renaissance wax is a microcrystalline wax polish. It is was designed by the British Museum for preserving their armor. They used to use beeswax. It's a Renaissance wax is a petroleum-based wax, so it doesn't discolor and will preserve things. And yeah, I love it. It's usually used for metal, but you could definitely use it for this. I use it on polymer and all kinds of things. And Diane said that Prismacolor actually does have a blending pencil. It came in my set. And she uses it in a single color. It blends some of the lines out. So, yes. I just use the white. I like it. And I'm going to go and go back on top and go back over some of the on the sides with that red. And I'm going to go back over with some yellow. All right, so really you could keep adding and adding until you're super happy. And it's really addictive. I could sit here and color wood pencil or pendants all day, but y'all might get bored after a while. So let's just call it neat. What do y'all think? Hit that like button if you like that. Yes, you can definitely most 100% use Renaissance wax on metal because that's what it was actually designed for. Usually for to buff it, but within my arm's reach, I've got a paper towel, so that's what we're going to use. All right, so to do that, I'm just going to lightly add some of the Renaissance wax onto my soft cloth and then work that into the surface. And it does take off some of the color as you're doing it. So know that that's going to happen. And then you would buff that, let that set and dry. On top of it if you wanted to increase that. But we're going to move on to the next technique. Like I said, I could do this all day. Y'all could have surface treatments all day, and then all of the other presenters would be sad in their hearts that I was hogging up everything. But in lieu of that sadness, just check out and like the Allegory Gallery Facebook page, and I promise that I will do more tutorials on how to add surface embellishments to your wooden pendants and also to your mixed media projects. So I guess we're not going to do the gold leaf, and the reason why we're not going to do the gold leaf is because I thought I put it out here, but oh, here it is. All right, so this is called adhesive size. You can also use rabbit skin glue. It's very, very sticky. So sticky. This is adhesive size, and I actually spilled this on the bottle, so it's It's yeah, sticky. So this is a glue that never dries. So you'll want to use a soft brush for this. Get a brush that you're not in love with, because sometimes this can get stuck up in the bristles, and then that's not ideal. All right, so this is rabbit skin or rabbit skin glue, and it's used or adhesive size. Earlier we painted this gold with a vintage patina paint, and right now we're just putting this adhesive size. Now, to get this to actually work, you have to let it dry. And we're going to do 2 pendants while we're at it. But this is super sticky stuff, so fun times. You want to make sure that there is a good, healthy coating, but not too thick, because if it's too thick, you can gouge it out later, and that's not ideal. So you want a healthy coating, but not too healthy. So basically, it's just kind of that white, milky surface, and then once that dries, it will dry completely clear. All right, I've only got a few minutes left, so make sure to wash this out with Dawn dish detergent, and yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fast track this. We've got only a couple minutes left until I'm done. Heather Powers is up next. And she makes sure to keep an eye on the group. See, as that's drying, it's drying clear. This doesn't completely dry ever, which is why this works as a product. So it will remain sticky once it dries. You actually have to let it dry before you can add the gold leaf. This is called adhesive size or rabbit skin glue. And thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate all of the support. If you, like I said earlier, if you want to see more tips and tricks, be sure to like the Allegory Gallery Facebook page. All right, so let's see if I can do this in under 5 minutes. I think I can. So I'm not using real gold leaf because I'm not rich. I'm just going to use the imitation gold leaf. Christy does sell the real stuff, and it does look awesome. So if you want to really add a little bit of luxury to your piece, get the real stuff. But if you're on a budget like me, use the imitation leaf. So I just set that on. You can be real particular, but this is the imitation gold leaf. So I'm not going to be with it because it was pretty inexpensive. All right, so once you get this, you can set that. It sticks to your fingertips. It's a really beautiful product. And I actually burnish the surface with your fingertip. Working outward as you would with this kind of product. And then take a soft bristle brush and go over the top, and that will remove the excess. I save those little flakes, and those are useful for all kinds of stuff. I guess you could add that to your unicorn spit or whatever, unicorn blood. and have fun with that. And there were a couple parts where I didn't let the glue dry completely, and you can see that. But we're just gonna be okay with that. All right, so we're removing the excess of the gold leaf. And yes, so we've got this gold leaf. So we're going to make sure we've got it nicely adhered to the surface and brush that excess all away. And then we're going to get our handy dandy palette out. Now Vintage also makes a glaze that in theory, oh, here it is. All right, so we've got the glaze, and we're going to put some of that glaze in there. And we're going to get one of the ones I already shook up a little bit. I could probably actually use the one that's got a little bit of juice in it. Oh, it's dry. So, just a drop of that. So this tutorial is going to be in the Great Bead Extravaganza page forever and ever and ever. So if you need reference, you can always reference back to it. So I mixed the glaze with a drop of the patina paint, and I'm just going to go over this gold leaf. And basically, I'm making a faux enameled surface. So the metallic of the metal leaf kind of peeks through, and when this dries, it will look like enamel. And I'm actually going to kind of put it on a little bit thicker, because once this dries, it'll dry clear, or it will dry more translucent, and you'll get more of a enameled look. All right, I'm going to post pictures of the finished products after everything is dry so that you get an idea of what everything looks like. And if you have too much on your brush, you can always wipe some of it off and then just work with it like so. Because sometimes if you have too much material on your brush, you know, that's not ideal. All right. So I'm all out of time. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. Heather Powers is up next, and thank you so much. I will talk to you later. Have fun this weekend.